Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the 1920s, a truly pivotal decade for India's freedom struggle. So after the non-cooperation movement ended, what was next? The movement was at a crossroads, with Gandhi arrested. Right inside the Indian National Congress, a massive split emerged over what to do next. It really divided them. This created two powerful factions with fundamentally different strategies for how to actually achieve independence. And this strategic divide wasn't just about politics. It really defined the entire movement throughout the early 1920s. Meanwhile, while the politicians were debating, brand new ideas started taking root across India, inspired by global events. Yeah, you had Marxist and socialist ideologies offering a totally radical new vision for India's social and political future. And a whole new generation of young people became super active, organizing protests and spreading nationalist ideas. And it wasn't just politics. The first May Day in 1923 showed a huge rise in worker solidarity. At the same time, the struggle for social equality, like the self-respect movement, became a crucial national conversation. But for some people, all this debate and reform was just way too slow. They chose armed revolution instead. Yeah, led by figures like Chandrashekhar Azad and Bhagat Singh, the HSRA represented a pretty dramatic ideological shift. Their strategy was all about direct, symbolic actions specifically designed to shock the British system and inspire the masses.
Their goal, as they said, wasn't to cause harm, but to use the inevitable trial as a megaphone.
And what's really key is how their ideas evolved. Bhagat Singh began to focus on Marxism and a secular state. Okay, so amidst all this turmoil, the British tried to control the narrative by reviewing India's governance. But the Simon Commission had 0 Indian members. It was seen as a grave insult, sparking nationwide protests. So, in a really powerful move, Indian political parties united to draft their own constitution as a direct challenge. The result was the Nehru Report. It was the first major Indian attempt to draft a real constitutional framework. But it wasn't perfect. It failed to satisfy key groups, creating yet another fracture over the independence question. All of this built up to a historic declaration right at the end of the decade. The year was 1929. At its Lahore session, the Congress officially adopted Purna Swaraj, or complete independence, as its one and only goal. So, you see, the 1920s weren't a pause. It was this dynamic, foundational decade of conflict and new ideas. So with all these paths, debate, reform, revolution, which one would ultimately define India's future? That was the question.